on TV Piedmont Channel 60. I'm your host, Brian Carter, alongside Ryan Orlovsky. Get your popcorn ready because we're putting on a show. You're watching 3 and Out. Orlovsky has the rundown.
On the opening tip, we're debating on those Georgia Bulldogs that declared for the NFL Draft. We'll answer our fans' emails on the 7th inning stretch, and on third down, we'll talk about each BCS bowl game. As always, if you have questions, comments, or topic suggestions, feel free to email us at 3andoutsports@gmail.com. All emailers receive a free 3 and Out pen.
This should be an interesting debate for you Georgia fans. It wasn't quite a shocker when Moreno and Matthew Stafford declared to go pro in the NFL Draft, but just for the sake of seeing both sides, we'll debate on whether this was a good or bad move for both players. Let's begin with Matthew Stafford. Go ahead, Orlovsky. What do you think about Stafford?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say that there's nothing that I hate more than seeing athletes leave school early. These are guys that are getting full-ride scholarships, and they're going to play football. But they're supposed to be scholar athletes. And too many times we see guys leaving early, but why? You're going to have that free education that's going to be with you wherever you go. You go to the NFL, you may get hurt in preseason. You may get that $1 million contract, but you know what? $1 million is only going to last you so long, where that education is going to take you pretty far as well.
$1 million, yeah, but when you can be guaranteed multi-millions, the stock doesn't get any higher for Matt Stafford, let's just face it. He had his best year ever. You can take a look at his stats. The guy passed for 3,459 yards this season and 25 total touchdowns, a QB rating of 153.54. Best year ever, and especially his game against Georgia Tech, where he threw for over 400 yards and threw 5 touchdowns. I was there on the sidelines. A great game by Matt Stafford, even though Tech came out on top. And then his Capital One BCS Bowl win over Michigan State. You can't go out any better than Matt Stafford did. Yes, the team underperformed on the season, but Stafford had a hell of a year, and he had his best year ever. Quarterbacks that he was going to be competing with going pro, you look at Sam Bradford, he decided to go back to Oklahoma. Tim Tebow decides to go back to Florida for his senior season, and then Colt McCoy decides to go back again to Texas. So there's not much for him to compete against as far as the quarterbacks going pro. You got Chase Daniel, Graham Harrell, and Mark Sanchez, and John Parker Wilson in that mix, but none of them come close to him. He's a projected first-rounder going to Detroit as possibly a #1 pick who definitely needs a quarterback. You look at your boy Orlovsky there, didn't get the job done. They brought in Culpepper. He couldn't do it either. And Todd McShay, the director for Scouts Inc., said this: Matt Stafford drives NFL scouts crazy because he's got it all. He has it all, prototypical size and a rifle arm. The guys definitely made the right choice by going pro. Anything else you want to add about Stafford?
But you brought up Tebow, you brought up Bradford, you brought up McCoy. Why are these guys coming back? You see, Stafford should want to come back because these guys are coming back. Georgia was supposed to have one of their best seasons ever, and they really didn't live up to that expectation. So you would think that these guys that he wants to come back, maybe go out on top. He wants to give back to Georgia, a school they gave him the opportunity to come in and play for as much as he did.
I agree with what you're saying. it's valiant to want to come back, like Tim Tebow, says he wants to do. That's historical, and that's very valiant, very heroic to decide to come back. But the factor you got to throw in there is that the biggest decision here is the factor of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. First of all, like I said, Stafford likely not going to be able to top the season he just had. If he did, it would pretty much be the same exact numbers. You can't duplicate that. You can't top it. So the other factor is that what if he does get hurt? You mentioned if you get hurt in the NFL. Well, what if you get hurt? You have one shot at the big bucks. Your whole career, you have one shot at making that multi-million dollars guaranteed, and instead you want to go back to school. Matt Stafford made the right choice because if he were to get hurt next year in the first game of the season, then no one's going to want to drop him in the first round, second round, possibly even third round. He might be late draft pick at best and make hardly anything. And, with the salary cap in place for 2010 in the NFL, you got to make the big bucks now because he might be limited if he waited to maybe making $3.25 million a year instead of making the Matt Ryan kind of money, which is like $10 million a year. So is he ready? Yes, he's ready. He says he's ready. He's the best package quarterback in the draft.
And I'm not saying that he's not ready, but what I am saying is look what Peyton Manning did. That 1 year made a heck of a difference for Peyton Manning. It may have done something for his confidence, and I think it's only going to help at this point if Stafford were to come back. I don't think it's going to hurt him. There's always the injury factor that you can throw in there. That's going to happen on any level of play, though.
I guess. Let's look at Moreno now. What do you think? What do you think Moreno's decision to go pro, is that good or bad for him?
I have to say bad again. Stafford, like you just said, his stock was very high. His stock was rising. If he's going to go, you're right, this probably is the best time for him to go. But Moreno really didn't have a bad season. He kind of went under the radar. But 6 games, he didn't reach the century mark.
Yeah, and that's one of the points I was going to bring up. Yeah, although his stock also couldn't really get any higher. It still was his best year ever. People say it's a down year, but I don't call 1,400 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns on the ground a bad year. It was a little less than what people thought he was, but yeah, he did have a slight downfall. As you mentioned, 6 times he did not reach 100 yards, but that gives him a better reason to want to go pro now while his stock is still high, because he's projected as a first-rounder as well. And you also look at who he's competing against in the draft against running backs, and the biggest guy that comes to mind is Chris Beanie Wells from Ohio State, who was hurt for much of the year, even the last game. And in the bowl game that he was in, he had a concussion, missed the whole second half. And then you have Jeremiah Johnson from Oregon, LaShawn McCoy from Pittsburgh, and Javon Ringer of Michigan State, who had 1,637 rushing yards for 22 touchdowns. Great year, but he's not the same caliber as he's definitely a projected first-rounder, could fall anywhere in that whole first round. There's not much to beat out. It's a good year for him to do so, but I do got to say this. I don't know if he's completely ready. I think right now he's been exposed. Like you just said, and we've said it a couple times now, 6 times he was held under 100 yards. Some of those not his fault, but look at the games. I just got to throw some stats out here. Against South Carolina, 20 for 79 yards. Alabama, 9 for 34. Tennessee, 27 for 101. That's a bad percentage. Florida, 17 for 65. And then how about Michigan State, 23 carries, 62 yards. The guy has definitely slipped a little bit. His stock fell.
But while we're on that Michigan State topic, I mean, I'd just like to say that I think both Stafford and Moreno are kind of making a rash decision here. I mean, they're high off that big Capital One Bowl, but you say Capital One Bowl, and it's just like it's not that big of a bowl game. You know, here's a team that was supposed to be in the national championship, and they really just didn't live up to expectations, and that's why I think these guys would want to come back. And I mean, if Stafford and Moreno were both to come back, they're both going to be front runners for the Heisman. So I mean,
not with McCoy. And then you got Bradford and Tebow coming back too. So, you know, there's not much to play for right there. But as I'm going to say, as we wrap this subject up, you got one shot at the big bucks. Go for it. Yeah, it's very noble and valiant to come back like Tim Tebow did and like most of them did, but it's also dumb. You have one chance to lock up financially for your great-grandkids. Do it while you can, while the money's still going to be there, even though I don't like money-hungry players, but it's dumb to pass up on that offer. So now it's time, before we wrap up the subject, to give out our game balls. My game ball, Orlovsky, is going to go to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why do I give the game ball to them? That's for cutting ties with the overrated, underperforming Andrew Jones. The guy had a horrific season there in L.A., and they deferred his $21 million salary, which is a heck of a lot of money for paying someone to ride the pine. And he's 32 years old, or so he says, and has 10 gold gloves. But I think he may be older than his birth certificate actually says.
I got to give my game ball to Tim Tebow just because of the topic that we were just talking about, and that Tebow is being very valiant by coming back for his 4th and final year, and for that national championship performance that he had, 311 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns on the night, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the season, and he overcame those 2 picks in the first half to lead his team to the national championship.
What about that jump pass? That was great. That's the end of this topic. We'll see you on the other side of the break, where we will read your emails on the 7th inning stretch.